Welcome to Exit the Matrix, Stories of Success, with your host, Jane Slack-Smith, where we celebrate the incredible journeys of individuals who've transcended their limitations and achieved extraordinary success.
Welcome to Exit the Matrix Stories of Success podcast, where we explore incredible journeys of transformation and resilience. Now, today's special guest is Dr. Urszula Carr. She is a specialist dermatopathologist and holds a PhD in tumour biology. Now, Urszula is not only an academically accomplished medical professional, but also a compassionate coach certified in rapid change technologies, trained in the natural success modality and Neurolinguistic Programming. Urszula lives in Sydney, where she enjoys a vibrant life with her 4 children. Her interests are diverse, extending far beyond the realm of medicine. An experienced traveller with a love for the outdoors, Urszula also enjoys martial arts and holds a black belt in Shotokan karate. Her active lifestyle is sustained by her enthusiasm for long-distance running, skiing, bushwalking, I'm exhausted already, cycling. Urszula's strong interest in personal growth and human behaviour fuels her ongoing quest for knowledge. She's an early adopter and an advocate of technologies and advances. She embraces innovations in digital pathology and artificial intelligence. Well, what a trendsetter. Welcome, Urszula, to the podcast.
Hello, and thank you for inviting me.
Now, I'm going to get some clarity. I know that I mispronounced what you do. Could you just explain what is a dermatopathologist?
Dermatopathologist. Well, I am a histopathologist, but we subspecialized. So I actually look at the microscope to diagnose skin diseases, inflammatory skins, alopecias, tumors, including melanomas, so that the clinician can actually treat the patient accordingly to the diagnosis. So we closely collaborate. I am a medical doctor, but I diagnose diseases, and then I collaborate with dermatologists, GPs, who then know how to treat the patient because they've got a correct diagnosis.
Wow, okay.
So that's how it goes.
Vital work. Well, thank you so much for explaining that. Now, I can't wait to hear about your sliding door moment. So let's get going. If you could describe for me, I guess you're a doctor, you're working away, you have a sliding door moment. What changed everything for you?
I mean, there were many sliding door moments, actually, and the change was probably gradual, but everything has changed when I've lost my husband to pancreatic cancer. And that was very unexpected because he was a very healthy, fit man. And all of a sudden, he was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer with metastasis. And naturally, he died. And I was left with 4 young children at the time, age 6 to 12, not even 12, the eldest, 4 girls. And we just bought a house in Sydney. And so I was left with big mortgage and threw myself into work to provide for the family. My husband was a house state dad, so I was a breadwinner. But I just started working even more to pay the mortgage and look after the girls. And of course, we didn't have that. They didn't have that anymore, so I had to be a mom as well. Luckily, because of my profession, my employer was very empathetic, and I got a lot of flexibility in terms of, being able to work sometimes from home and still be at school at those important moments, for which I'm very grateful. But I developed severe burnout because I also have no family here, so no support. Of course, there are friends, but like it is, everybody's got busy lives, so you can't really rely. There was help coming, but generally, I was just me and my kids. And the burnout was, so it was severe time, but severe burnout. But the worst one was during COVID, where I was in a space where I thought I can't live like this anymore. In fact, I had thoughts of, I wish it was me who died of cancer. I just wanted to get up, I wanted to crawl under the bed in the morning rather than get up and do something. I just wanted to be alone, and felt like being in that kind of dark. I had to describe like if you were locked in a dark room, there was no windows, no doors, and you started kind of feeling suffocating, and you can't catch your breath, and there is no way out. Like I couldn't see a way out because I thought, okay, I can't do this job anymore. I am a mom. I can't stop being a mom. And in medical profession, it's not so easy. You don't just go and change your specialty because that's another 5-7 years of training and exams. That was the last thing I wanted to do. And I thought, what else can I do? I can't do anything because I don't know anything. This is all I know. I've been studying for 25 odd years to actually do what I do. And this is how it was gradual, but I started the journey diving deep into personal development.
So just tell me, so just to summarize, you're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week as a doctor. Your husband's a stay-at-home dad. You've got 4 little girls between 6 and 12. In a very short period of time, I'm assuming there was a complete change. You took on the parenting, the home, looking after the new mortgage, the job that didn't really change, but you could have a little bit of flexibility in, going to events and working from home every now and then. You took on essentially 2 great big jobs, and you were facing this overwhelm, you're facing exhaustion, and you're describing this point where you are like, I can't get up. When you were in that point of that chaos that was happening in your life, how did you have that kind of, there is a way out? Where was the light? Where did you actually go, I'm not going to let this get me down? Because obviously with kids, you don't give up, but what kind of led you to this kind of aha where you saw you had a choice?
Yeah. Well, the kids, to be honest, the kids, I knew that I am the only parent and they just already been through so much. So I had a choice, delve into my sorrows and, get deeper into depression, start taking medications, or maybe, like alcohol, whatever, to make temporarily, to make myself see better, or do something about it for the sake of my kids and for myself, because I love life. And I wanted my life back, because when Nigel was alive, I worked hard, not 60 hours, but, between 40 to 50, but he did everything at home. So all weekends we spent a lot of time together, going out and enjoying kids. And I still did that. I still took kids whenever I could. So I tried to have at least weekends off. And that was that drive. And I cannot pinpoint how and what. I am a meditator. So I dropped meditation when he was sick. But I started meditating again. It wasn't something that it was new to me, because I've been meditating, for quite a while before, and I did some Vipassana silent retreats. So I started doing that. But also, I am big enthusiast, as you know, of physical activities, and I think running at the time actually saved my life, because I've been running 40 kilometers a week, like 40 and more. So the kids knew, like, when I was angry or, shouting at them, because it happened, like I was so exhausted that, I was a shouty parent, and they will go, Mom, go for a run, like go for a run.
So they could see those moments. And so you were meditating, you were running, physical activity. What kind of choice did you make to get yourself out of those fears and the worries and that chaos? Like, you're doing these activities. Was there also a kind of a mental kind of trigger that you went, okay, like something's got to give. I've got a choice here.
Yes, what I would say, even so, I wasn't yet aware, because, as you know, I underwent a natural success training. It wasn't yet, I wasn't in that training yet. That came later. But even at that state, I kind of instinctively knew that I can, to some degree, control my emotions and my reactions, that I can change, that I feel upset, anxious, fearful, to something better. And when you kind of decide something, there's synchronicities and something comes your way. And then I came across Tony Robbins' daily priming routine. And it's funny, I always find it funny that he's so expensive, his courses and events, and this is for free on YouTube. And I've started listening to it, and I think that also, together with my physical exercise and also, karate, I'm a black belt, so I was training for black belt. I've started training, I wanted a black belt. And that all together combined just got me out of that hole. And of course, I took some time off as well from work, I think maybe a week to just recover from that acute state. Sometimes when you're in that acute state, you have to break, you just can't work anymore. And that was enough to start the change.
Yeah.
And that's what started. That the change in my mind was, the realization that I have a choice in this matter. And then I started seeing some options. And, because when you're in that kind of different state of mind, you are attracting some information. Your brain is filtering information and allows you to see things that you haven't seen before because you are too upset, too fearful, too anxious to actually see other opportunities. I've started my investment journey. I wanted to invest in properties, so I've learned about that, or shares, etc., because I had no idea. I've been renovating my house. And that also, gave me some purpose. And of course, my girls, all the time, my girls. And so that gave me a feeling of purpose, that I've got something here to do. And initially was to be a parent for my children. But then I realized that it's for me as well. This is my life. I want to enjoy my life now, not, when I'm dead, or after, hoping that after I die, it would be better.
Yeah.
And so for myself and for my patients, because unhappy and fearful and exhausted doctor is not a good doctor, for my patients, so I can actually turn up to work and give everything I've got, knowing that I can go home and have some refuge in spending time with my children and having a free evening and doing some exciting stuff with my family.
Yeah, what's interesting is, and I wanted to move on to, because obviously you've now studied a lot of extra things: neuro-linguistic programming, natural success modality, the rapid transformation therapies, etc. Now, you've done that from a place of helping others, in particular doctors and medical professionals, but anyone, I assume, with the executive and high stress, overwhelm, and facing burnout. Tell me about that journey, because that, the fact that you just recovered yourself and you found some ways to bring you out of that and orientate towards the future and what you wanted to create rather than in the now, the negative bias. I'm interested in that progression. What's that been looked like for you?
So during my training with natural success and some other modalities, I realized something extremely important, that I create my life. And initially when I've heard that, I thought, what's going on in here? Do I really, do I choose that my husband died and I'm a single mom and all that? But of course, there are circumstances, there are aspects of lives that involves others, and we have no control over those, but we can control our reaction. And I understood that if I own it, I own that I create my life, my reality, then it gives me a power to change things that I don't like, to change into something different. And it's funny how we focus always on, most people focus on what we don't like in our lives, the worries, the anxiety. If you don't have money, you focus on lack of money because you're thinking constantly, how do I pay that next check? And strangely enough, you are not open to opportunities of making more money, or, it's close to you because all you're thinking is, I have no money.
Yeah.
And this is just one example, but what I'm trying to say that I've realized that I can change it. And the change of how I can create my life is to focus on what I want to create in my life. And I wanted to have a happy family, be a lovely parent, have a very good relationship with my children, be a good doctor, reignite this spark, that I've studied for so long. And, I'm excited about diseases and everything that I see. And, you're working like a detective a lot of the time, because I see the slide and I don't, even with my experience, there are days, that I don't know what I've got, and I have to do special techniques, and I have to send it for second opinion, and we just discuss and talk to colleagues, and it's like detective work for the patient to actually have the correct diagnosis, so the clinician can apply the treatment. And that was a big realization, but it took me a few years actually before I started realizing, because it's all good, you realize, okay, all I do, I focus on what I want to create, but how do you actually do it?
Yeah.
How? And I developed a lot of little techniques which are short, quick, to actually be able to do that. And, I've got the morning routines, I got exercises that I do during the day and evening routines. And I do them religiously every day. And it's not like, it's not OCD. Sometimes I change them around. Sometimes I don't do them because I just run out of time, but that's very rare. I try to be very, because it just, I know how important it is
and
for
it
me
sets
to.
the state for the rest of the day.
It sets I've got the intention that my day is going to go well. Whatever is thrown at me, I've got that intention, and I know how to reconnect with my vision whenever, there is problem. Because I used to go to work, even when I started meditating in the morning, I was good as gold. I would go to work, and then I start seeing all these cases piling, and I have this raising kind of panic, feeling that I'm not on the top of it. I can't do it. And then I'm going home and I'm already so exhausted, so tired, and so angry that I'm shouting at my kids when I'm coming back home. And I changed that. I do a lot of little short exercises during the work that make me focus, okay, like reconnect, recharge, and, I'm good. I'm good to go.
I might have to convince you to do a bonus video for some of those techniques after this, but just, I guess what interests me is that, obviously your daughters are older now and a little bit more, leaving home, etc. And you've got, what I would have thought is some time and grace in your life again to focus on yourself. But as well as your job, now what you're doing is you're actually assisting, doctors and medical professionals, particularly, who are in that crisis and that chaos. I imagine you can't jump straight in and talk to them about, creating the life that they want. When you are in that crisis, that awareness point of realizing that circumstances do happen, and I think what's the saying, that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. It's how you deal with those life experiences of pain. You're now coaching your clients who are in that point. Can you just tell me, how would a person who potentially is listening to this go, oh my God, that's me? What's that look like when you're at that point where you can't see out? Now, a quick word from our sponsor, Your Success Club. Your Success Club is a group of vibrant, abundance seekers. If you subscribe to exitthematrix.io, we are going to drop you into the club room, which has lots of goodies, resources, and a free gift just for subscribing. Now, back to the podcast.
Well, you are completely exhausted, and you recognize it because say Monday is approaching, so the weekend, often, unless you do shifts, but often at the stage of consultancy, it's probably, Monday to Friday, and maybe some on calls at the weekend. But I spent all weekend thinking about Monday. and I spoiled my weekend just thinking, and as some people call it Sunditis, particularly on Sunday, I was already depressed. So if you do that, if you think about going to work and you have that sinking feeling, you are definitely burnout. You are not happy. When you are, everything that mentioned work and connected with work, you feel like, I can't even move my finger because I feel already so exhausted.
Yeah.
And almost like a hate relationship. And also that feeling that there is no way out. Like what can I do from now? What can I do? What I can't do anything because I'm a doctor. What can I do differently? And if you're in that state, and plus there is family circumstances, there may be a divorce going on in your life, there may be problems with children, because I would like to tell you, this is not, my children are beautiful and lovely, but 3 of them are neurodivergent. So it wasn't like all roses and butterflies at home. But so if you've got all that on the top of your work, there is so much you can take, right? And you break. When you're at that state of breaking, you've got to do something about it. You either try to do it yourself.
Yeah, I just wanted to, if people are listening to this and there's an awareness point where you're like, actually one of these things resonates with me, you're probably at the point where you are in chaos and you don't think you can get out. And the message is, it's possible. Like, you've done it yourself, you've helped your other clients do it, but it is possible. But the awareness is the key, right?
Yes. And that you are not alone, even in the worst circumstances where you think about yourself, you maybe failed the exam, or you're preparing for the exam, medical exam, and you're procrastinating because you've got other things, problems at home, and you're beating yourself up because, everybody, and you're comparing constantly. My colleagues are already finished my training. I talk a lot to trainees as well, because I can see how many of them are struggling, because it's really hard. They're in a training for a long time, they work long hours, they have issues at home, and they always compare themselves with others. My colleagues at this stage, they already consultants, and I can't pass this exam. Is no, and if you don't pass the exam, there is no. It's not really that, what else can you do? In our profession, you've got to, if you want to be specialist, you've got to pass the exam. Otherwise, it's, very, very hard to stay in the same even specialty without actually, having those exams passed. So, the training, the doctors who are just, sometimes they are at any ages, any age, any state of career, you can encounter that kind of difficulties. Usually it is combined work with something going on at home and your private life and your love life, romantic relationship, that triggers that kind of point of feeling that I'm almost breaking. Of course, this is different to depression, and I'm not dealing with any kind of psychological illnesses. I'm not a psychologist. I need to disclose that. I'm not a psychologist or a mental health specialist, psychiatrist. I don't do any kind of treatment. This is coaching. Coaching is different. And how I help my clients, that is, I share the routines that I do that saved my life and manage and that helped me to get from that dark room outside and see the doors and see the light and see the sunshine. There is world out there, and it's beautiful, and it's so full of potential and opportunities. Let's need to see that, and then achieve the clarity, because often we so focus on our troubles and problems that we don't even know what we actually want. So I help them to clarify that what do you want? Like, forget all the, like, if there was no money problem, no trainings, rules, what would you love your life to be? Without any kind of, if you could just magically have a magic wand and just change it, how would you like it to be? And I let them go wild. Like, what really would like to do? Would you like to be a doctor, or would you like to perhaps not? Perhaps you change to something different. And then they just go wild, and their faces lit up, and they start seeing these opportunities and creations. The potentials there. And then we obviously is not enough, because then you have to, the main component, the pepper and salt, is that you have to actually take little actions to your goals, to your dreams for this to happen. But the main thing is that you need to constantly reconnect and focus on that vision rather than, and we, fell off the wagon, and then we come back and we, keep going. And the coach is helping with that, just holding your heart, helping you, being accountable to yourself, and keeping that kind of, it's like a cheering, from the athletes get cheering from their coach, right? It's a slightly different, because coach athletes, that just tell them exactly what to do. The coach in this kind of life coach space is mostly just getting that your essence, the experiences that you want to, the clarity, the potential out, and believing in yourself and believing you can achieve it. And helping you to come up with those.
I've got a coach. I've always had a coach, and at least for the last 24 years. And it's just it's like a cheerleader on your side, but also someone's going to kick your butt, right? And make you see things that you may not be able to see. And when you're deep in a situation and allowing circumstances happen to you, rather than realizing that circumstances happen and you can have a choice, it's the coach's role really to give you that clarity of where your current reality is, and hold the vision of what you want to create, and give you techniques to get there. So, the thing that I love about your story, Urszula, is that when we think of doctors and medical professionals, their essence is about caring and looking after others. And, you hear about doctors, especially new trainees, doing 20-hour shifts without sleep and all of these things. We kind of just accept it. And then we've got the fact that, you've got these people whose orientation is looking after others and being supported, who are going through this overwhelm, exhaustion, chaos, and going, but who's going to look after me? So I love the fact that not only vulnerably you've shared your story and said, this is where you were, and here were the awareness points that allowed you to orientate differently, but you're supporting doctors in doing that. So I'm very grateful as a member of the public that you're looking after our doctors so that they can look after us. And I really commend you for, your work that you do now. So thank you.
Thank you. That's very kind. For me, I just wanted to say that for me, that drive was when I realized how much my life changed. I realized that I was the problem, that not the problem, but I was the cause of the chaos. Okay. Of course, with the circumstances, but mainly I was the cause, and I took the ownership of it. Then I gained power of changing it. And that's such a liberating state to be, and realization. And because as a byproduct of that, I become, I believe, much better intuitive a parent. I mean, one of my teenage daughters told me, Mom, you become a different person. You become so much. You become excellent parent, and you've changed so much since you started doing this coaching stuff. and that was the biggest compliment that I could ever imagine. I was just so happy when I've had that. And then even yesterday we had a little conversation about my generation and the parents, and how they twisted, and how they I'd never done any parenting courses or learn how to parent. We don't learn, unfortunately. Nobody teaches us at school. We learn from experience. But she says to me, you realize that you were the problem and you've changed. And she was right, because my family become like a peaceful oasis that I always wanted to create, but I didn't know how. And now, because I wanted them to okay, you go out and there would be problems, there would be difficulties, there would be, people bullying you maybe. But you have that home where you can come and you open the door and you just go, I'm home. And I always have this sense sticks, scenty sticks. So I want them to have that when they open the door, that smell of kind of calm and, home tranquility.
Yeah.
That, okay, I'm at home, I can now, have relax, and I know I'm loved. I know I am safe.
Yeah. What a beautiful environment you've created for your family. Now, I can't let you go without a little bit of fun. So every guest, I ask them to share something that people don't know about them. And it was funny, we had a bit of a chat about this beforehand, and you are like forefront of digital technology and AI in your profession. And it wasn't always the case. So I'd love for you to share, something that people don't really know about you.
But in terms of AI and digital,
I know that you grew up in a village probably without technology.
Oh, yes. Yes, well, just to clarify, I am enthusiast, but it's been a long journey because Australia somehow is slightly behind with Europe. So I'm not up front, at the front, but I'm putting my hand up and I'm volunteering to be a pioneer. But I'm not one of the pioneers because that's been done years ago somewhere else. So that's one thing. But it's funny because when I was
Urszula, always very humble.
No, that's the truth. That's the truth. I'm not a pioneer here because, I didn't have an opportunity, but I love it. And I'm just making everything that we actually embrace it in Australia here, at least in my workplace. But when I was a child, I grew up in a very little village in the middle of nowhere in South Poland, in the hills and by the lake. My parents were teachers, and Dad was headmaster. And at those time tells that will reveal my age. But and even particularly in Poland, we lived in a communistic regime. So we had a telly that had only 2 channels, and the second channel never actually worked because the reception was so bad. So as a child, I had 1 program a day, and that was 10 minutes. It was called Dobra Nocka, which means like a good night. It was cartoons, so we were waiting for it. And then there was a 2 hours program on a Sunday at 9 o'clock. And that was it for the children. That was it. Media.
So what did you do with your time?
So you had to do something, and that made us to be really creative because I lived in a apartment blocks where other teachers with other kids. So we had like tons of kids, outside the block, very close to school. So we were just creating so many fun games. And I remember particularly fondly the winter, which was usually quite heavy, lots of snow. So we obviously, took the sleds and slide down straight to the road. The parents didn't know. Obviously, the road wasn't very busy because not many people have cars, but there were horses sometimes, crossing by whatever. Or the snow was so high up, and like it was meters and meters of snow that we would just jump straight in, like buried ourselves and pretend there was a avalanche, and we can't get out, and all the rescue and everything. And I remember a genius idea when I went and started making like footsteps on snow and pretending and scaring younger children than me that the Yeti is
Yeti footsteps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And all sorts of wonderful things that we played. Creativity was amazing, and that's not, I don't want to go this path. All my times we had a stick to play with, but we did.
Well, there you go. Something we didn't know. Playing in avalanche situations and creating Yeti footsteps. Well, I have to say thank you very much, Urszula, Dr. Urszula Carr, who's joined us today and shared with us her journey from chaos to calm and how she's supporting doctors and medical professionals and people facing overwhelm and exhaustion in understanding their own journey and the way out. So I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so very much, Urszula. And If you would like to contact Urszula, do her life scan quiz, which actually gives you an indication of where maybe you're out of whack in life. Please head to www.exitthematrix.io/S for short, /Dr. Carr, DRCARR. And Urszula, I might, get a little bonus recording here so you can share some of your tips that help us orientate during the day from chaos to calm. After this, that bonus will be also on the exitthematrix.io webcast. Please, go and subscribe. Let's hack the algorithm. Head over to Apple, leave a review for us, and share this, because sharing is caring. And, at Exit the Matrix, we're all here about, celebrating those sliding door moments, the moments where people exit the matrix and choose a life that is different to the one that they were experiencing. So thank you very much, Dr. Urszula Carr, for sharing that with us today. I am so grateful for you and what you do. And as always, here is to your success. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Exit the Matrix, Stories of Success. Make sure you subscribe to future episodes at www.exitthematrix.io. Until next time, here's to your success.